Warning: this episode contains mature content. Viewer discretion is advised. How to use undrinkable water to hydrate yourself. I will give you these three options and you will pick the most likely option to be correct. Okay, you ready for this? A. Mix a gallon of water with half a pint of urine. Strain the impurities and drink. I can't believe I'm finally getting to doing this review. This is the worst case scenario survival game by University Games. Now, I've had this on my shelf for a while. This was actually a gift to me, and a really funny gift. But I was working on an episode where I was going to compare this to the 2021 worst case scenario card game by Moose Games, and I found that it was just a really unfair comparison. So we'll take a look at the Moose Games card game a little bit later. That one is actually quite fun. But this, as I started doing some research, first off, University Games doesn't credit the designer or the artist. The art is clearly lifted from the book that this is based off of. A little context here. This 2001 trivia board game is actually based off of the worst case scenario survival handbook that was written in 1999 by Joshua Piven and David Borganek. Now, it made it to the New York Times bestseller, and by 2001, they had already started producing a number of different volumes of worst case scenario survival handbooks. So the original one started mostly with like things like wilderness and disaster survival, whereas the later ones had things like, I love in the collegiate, these are some cards from the Moose Games one I've been using as bookmarks. How to hide things in your dorm room, and it teaches you how to make a hollow book. Or the dating handbook here. We'll just drop that. How to survive if you have excessive gas. Now there's a diagram that you're not going to forget anytime soon. My point is that these survival guides are meant to be a novelty. They say all over them, there are all kinds of disclaimers that you're never supposed to do what they actually say to do in these guides. These are just like basically experts and enthusiasts taking their best stab at what they would do to try to survive a given situation. I loved also 2001, they started really cashing in. They had things like holiday greeting cards. They had the board game. They did these weekly calendars. Here's how to escape from a mountain lion. So this is one of the original weekly calendars. They did do another run of calendars around 06, 07. In 2002, TBS had a TV show that was hosted by Mike Rowe, where stunt performers would actually reenact some of the scenarios that were described in the books. Now, that wasn't very successful, and it ran for only one season. It was like 12 or 13 episodes. And then in 2010, Discovery decided that it was worth resurrecting this franchise to try to make a new TV series. This time, it was starring Bear Grylls. Survivor Man Bear Grylls, talking about the worst case scenario survival stuff. So, you all remember Bear Grylls, right? Yeah. So, as you can see, this sort of rode right around the same time as like we were starting to see Fear Factor, a lot of other reality TV shows, and this took that little extreme concept and put it on its ear. So the books are actually a lot of fun. They're very silly. Like I said, they tell you that it's a novelty. Don't take it seriously. When we get into the game, I know that they are in the spirit of the novelty, but this is a pretty bad translation even of the work that it's based off of, and this might not just be the worst trivia game ever made, it's a clear contender for worst board game ever made. So let's hop right in, starting with the box art, which I actually think the box art's pretty nice because it harkens back to the book that it's based off of. This illustration here, the guy running away, is from the chapter on escaping killer bees, and the shark is how to fend off a shark. When we flip the box over, we see a picture of the game board and a description of what the game is like. It's a lift-off top box. It has a cardboard space saver that holds the single box of cards in the very center of the board. I am so grateful there's only one box of these terrible cards. We'll get to that in a moment. The game board and the pieces all have ample room for storage. You get one green die. It's six-sided. The range is 1 through 6. The corners are a little bit rounded. It's nice and chunky. You get 4 player pawns, green, red, blue, and white. No yellow because we have a yellow back board. Speaking of which, the board also loosely borrows art from the biomes depicted in the Survivor manual, but this is kind of lame. It's really uninspired. The track is these footprints that lead to a shadow hand going, okay! Really dumb. Sorry, but this is as bland as it gets. I know they're trying to stay on brand with the art on the Survivor manual, but already we're kind of in the weeds. Then we have this box of cards. I don't know how many there are. I don't really care because once you get into them, you're going to see why this game is terrible. So here's how you play this game. This is the starting point. That's the finish point. Each one of these footprints is a space. A player will roll the die. In this instance, I got 3. Now, instead of moving like I would in any other roll and move game, the player next to me will draw a card from the box and they will read out one of these survival questions. And if you have any young ones watching the show, now's the time to heed the warning that I gave you at the beginning of the episode, because we're going to start really plumbing the depths of why this game sucks. So, if I choose to ask you this question, how to use undrinkable water to hydrate yourself? I will give you these 3 options and you will pick the most likely option to be correct. Okay, you ready for this? A, mix a gallon of water with half a pint of urine. Strain the impurities and drink. Sorry, I'm just reading a sentence about straining the impurities out of your urine-water mixture is just lovely. B, pour the water all over your body. Your skin will absorb some of the water. I don't know if that's really scientifically accurate, but I guess if you're like a plant. And C, really, okay, we're committed. Use the water to give yourself an enema. This will at least hydrate your intestines. I just read that to the YouTube audience. Now, you want to guess which one's right? Do you want to guess which one's right? Which one's the right answer in your opinion? Okay, is it right now? Write in the comments which one you think is right. Are we ready for this? It's option C. Give yourself an enema with dirty water because at least it'll hydrate your intestines. If you are the player that was asked the question and you get the question correct, you get to move 3 spaces. However, if you got the question wrong, the person who asked you the question gets to move 3 spaces. So every single roll, is a wager of how many spaces you or the person who quizzes you gets to move. And this is stuff that will get you killed if you actually... This game is rated for ages 8 and up, and we're talking about dirty water enemas just on that card alone. Then we've got things like... I love this one. There might be some truth to this, but I'll tell you what, when you listen to this, it's not going to sound like a very good idea. How to remain afloat in the sea for long periods. Float on your back, relax, kick your legs gently. That's the first option, option A. Option B, keeping only your head above water, move your legs like riding a bicycle, and use your arms to keep upright. Okay. Option C, floating upright, take a deep breath, put your face in the water with your arms above your head, and float until you need more air. You want to guess which one's right? That's right, option C again. Put your head under salt water. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like you're not gonna fare very well constantly putting your face in the water. I think you're better off arching your back and floating on it. You know what? What do I know? What do I know? This is supposed to be for novelty use only. You're not supposed to do any of these things, but my problem is it sells itself like it's a survival trivia game, and you can put all the disclaimers you want. It's just like on Frank Brizzi's Pass Out, which is obviously a drinking game, and they say don't play it with alcohol, which I agree with. I played it with carbonated water with San Pellegrino, and I about burped my chest wide open with the amount of carbonated water it wanted me to drink just trying to get one lap, okay? Oh, that was a bad idea after topping off. Oh. 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 Oh, no. Oh, come on. It's obvious what that game is for. This, I would not want it in the hands of somebody who didn't know for sure that all of this is terrible advice. So one, the gameplay being basically like an odd wager. Then the questions, like this stuff is BS and most of it doesn't even make sense. And many of these will have multiple right answers and you have to guess the most right. And I mean, I still pulled my favorite because it's a classic here. How to fend off a shark. Is it A, make repeated quick sharp jabs at the eyes or gills? B, punch or kick it in the nose? Ah! Or C, grab and hold one or both pectoral fins? It's A, make repeated quick sharp jabs at the eyes or gills. I mean, you know, there's that whole giant maw full of razor sharp teeth coming at you. I mean, some of these are also how to treat ulcers. I just pulled this. How to treat ulcers. Is it A, take an over-the-counter antacid? B, drink plenty of fruit juices to soothe the lining of the stomach? Or C, take aspirin or ibuprofen to reduce any swelling or irritation? The answer is A, take an over-the-counter antacid. But what is this doing in this game? Why? I am so in the weeds with the worst case. So this is funny too. This was a gift and I love it. The person who gave it to me, we played this together and we were just dying laughing at how awful this is. So like everybody watching this, if you're having a good time with this review, say thanks to Mike in the comments here. What an awesome guy. He knows that. I didn't even know that this was rated on Board Game Geek as like the worst trivia game in existence. And I think it's actually a contender for worst board game in existence. It's a clear, blatant cash grab. It's tangentially related to the survival manual, but it's so off the wall with its questions and its game mechanics. Its art is just like completely lifted and uninspired. It's not fun. Like you laugh your ass off at how stupid it is because if you tried it, I feel better about playing Chutes and Ladders than I do about this one because you can go through and you can answer every question correctly, but by luck of the roll, your opponent can win by getting 0 questions correct and just benefiting from somebody with a good roll getting their question wrong. So like you can go through this whole thing and never answer a question correctly and still win the freaking trivia game. Like how? How is that? This fails at being a trivia game. It fails at teaching you anything about survival. It does succeed at making you laugh, but only sparingly because it's kind of like all right, I like Cards Against Humanity. It's fun with the right crowd. But to be completely honest, after you've played a game like that a few times, it's vulgar for the sake of being vulgar. This gives Fear Factor vibes for me. Like this is from that era too, that Y2K era, where we were getting a lot of reality shows. I'm just going to pull one right from the middle. It's funny, you can see in the stack, you can see the curvature of the cards. They were kind of cheap. So you can see the curvature of the cards. This is the stack. This is the part of the stack that's never been played. And then I was purposely trying to put them in backwards so they'd sort of straighten out, which is failing. But like, let's take one right from the middle. This is completely blind. How to control a runaway camel. A, pull back hard on the reins in a series of sharp tugs. B, hang on to the saddle horn and ride it out. Camels tire easily and won't run far. Or C, yell in the camel's ear as loud as you can. Its fear of loud noises should temporarily paralyze it long enough for you to jump off. All right, guys, which one is it? Is it A, pull back hard on the reins? B, hang on to the saddle horn? Or C, yell into the camel's ears? It's B, just let the camel run itself out. Like, that stuff's funny, and I'm sure that's the intent behind the game. But the problem is there's no way to know if you're going to get the right answer. There's almost no basis in reality for the context of these answers, much less the validity of them. Like, It's a trivia. This is the only trivia game that I know of that you can win without ever answering a question correctly. Holy crap. That shouldn't be possible. That's a feat. That's like a perfect Olympic gold swan dive into an empty pool. Just full leap of faith right. Okay, so this arguably is right now, in my opinion, the worst case scenario survival game by University Games is so far what I think to be the worst board game of all time. This is, there's games that I think are pointless, games that I think aren't fun. This is the first game that I've ever seen that lacks like any and all artistic originality. The fact that it's just a cash-in only adds to it. The enjoyment that you get reading any of the stuff off the cards, it's such a swing. Stopping a runaway camel is a lot more fun and family-friendly than discussing dirty water enemas. That's a brand new freaking sentence. Like, why? Why is that in the game? Why is it for a game ages 8+? No. This is an interesting curiosity because it's like if you want to have Plan 9 from Outer Space in your collection or Monos Hands of Fate because you really like having the worst of the worst. Maybe you're a Pink Flamingos enthusiast. I don't know. I'm likening this to collecting cinema, like grindhouse bad cinema here. There are some aficionados like having the worst of the worst in their collection. I am absolutely bemused to have this. This is great. I will be comparing the fun factor to the Moose Games card game that came out in 2021. I don't want this painted in the same light as the Moose Games card game. That one's a little bit more akin to like ranked choice Cards Against Humanity, but it's, we'll get there. We'll get there. So know that there is a better game that I will be reviewing, but I wanted to really keep the showcase on the worst game. And I want to point out, I almost overlooked the rules. I always go through the rule manual, and this is nice bond paper folded in half. It has the art as borrowed directly from the book again. Now, I want to point out, it says right on the front here in this big warning, do not attempt to undertake any of the activities described in this game. Authors and experts disclaim any liability. Like, they're very, very clear that you shouldn't do it, but there's still some idiot who's going to remember some of the information from this and think, well, maybe that's right when they're in that situation. And even if, like, you could make that judgment about the manual too, the handbook, and you're not wrong. Okay, like that's kind of part of the problem with products like this is it's fun to muse what you would do to survive, and that's what the book does, and it does it very clearly. And you have to be of a certain mindset to be reading these. And keep in mind, they had like dorm life and dating and office and manliness stuff. So these books are all over the place. They're not just in the worst case scenario, fight off an alligator or jump from a burning building. But there's just something about having a trivia game where you're trying to convince people that this is their best option in a scenario. And either from the manual or the game, if somebody finds themselves in a even similar scenario at all, remotely similar, and they decide to use some of the advice from the game or the manual, they could really get hurt. So funny for like gameplay, yes. Funny in the idea that, geez, it's a little bit reckless to share information this way. Yeah. I'd say just because of the potential danger, that sort of tips it even more. Like the lack of fun factor too. It was so infuriating to play. This is such a fun rage bait game. If you want to like really piss off the people that you're playing, like intentionally, if you just know, if on April Fool's Day, you want to pull out a game unbeknownst to your friends that it's one of the worst games of all time just to watch them slowly lose their minds over the course of hundreds of potentially terrible, how to put an unconscious person in a recovery position. Well, at least that's somewhat useful, but what happens if somebody does run into that situation and they think that the best way to do it is place the person face down with his or her right arm and leg extended away from the head and left arm and leg slightly bent? Well, face down? Is it face down? I always thought it was to the side. I don't want somebody to actually read this and then go, oh, well, that's good medical advice without any All right, have you played this? Have you played the worst case scenario trivia game? I'm dying to know what you think. Comment below and let me know. Everybody, if you had a good time with this episode, say thanks to Mike in the comments down below. He's the one that donated this game. Thanks to my couch potatoes for making episodes like this possible. Can't wait to review more terrible games with you soon.